So you want to learn the mindset of a millionaire so you can implement their hacks into your own life. Luckily enough, I've traveled 9 times in the past 6 months across several cities, meeting several multimillionaires. And after I counted it up, they all added up to be worth over $100 million in total. And I wanted to learn more about how their mind worked. A lot of you guys watching right now are still trying to navigate through life and figuring out all this information that you're learning. But today, I'm going to break down the 6 traits that every millionaire I've met has so you can learn through the 1% through my experience. Number 1 is that none of them are actual geniuses. Well, maybe one of them is, but 99% of them aren't. Other than one of them, none of them are actual outstanding people in terms of intellectual power. And I would actually say that I'm probably smarter than most of them. When I was younger, I used to have a limiting belief that I always thought rich people were super smart, super savvy, whether it was through tech skills, sales, anything. But the reality is it's not true, at least not anymore. Back before the internet, that belief was probably more true than not, but the internet has completely leveled the playing field if you guys didn't know that already. Anybody can make 7 figures online with the correct system, correct priorities, and the correct foundation set over a period of time. However, each of these people I talked to and got to meet and hang out with had a trait that a lot of people lack, and that is focus. Average people don't have an attention span. They're not able to focus on things that actually matter. They're just aimlessly scrolling on social media, looking for the next dopamine hit, but a lot of people that are high level, no pun intended. Being completely transparent with you guys, I still catch myself scrolling and scrolling, but the thing is I catch myself a lot faster than I used to, and this is a common trait that all of the millionaires that I know also have. And point number 2 is their level of awareness. Just like a predator in the wild, their awareness levels are pretty much maxed out to level 99 if you were to compare it to a video game. These people are aware of what they're doing with their time all the time and looking at how to maximize every waking hour to dedicate towards something, towards moving forward. Awareness is the first step to consciousness. This is why majority of the population is asleep. They're just walking aimlessly, unconsciously throughout life. And just to stress this point and really drive it home, these high performing and high level people are really quick to realize they're doing a certain activity that's gonna have a low ROI, and then they go ahead and just pivot and actually start doing something that's gonna be a lot more productive for their business or for them as an individual in terms of development. Now, with that being said, they still will willingly put themselves in a state of fun or degeneracy, if you wanna call it that, but it's with intent. An example of this is Fresh from the Fresh and Fit podcast. He'll go into a nightclub, he'll go to a club in Miami, whether it's Vendome, 11, or any other club, and network with other high rollers in there. And he doesn't drink, so he's going in there completely sober and leaving there completely sober with one mission. Well, typically, but he's going there to actually go ahead and meet with new celebrities, meet with new influencers, to introduce himself, nurture relationships, and then close them on bringing them on the podcast, the Fresh and Fit podcast. This is how he's able to actually bring on so many people that otherwise you really probably wouldn't be able to bring on. Fresh is aware of the fact that successful people go to the club and they like to go crazy and enjoy themselves, so he just positions himself to be there. It's also pretty fun to go out there too when you have a table. But moving on to number 3 is their action takers. As mentioned before, most of these guys aren't geniuses that reinvented the wheel or anything spectacular like that. They just stuck with one thing over a period of time, dedicated most of their waking hours towards it, and focused on the right spots of the business to make it grow. Most people tend to just sit around all day or just planning in their mind what they're gonna do tomorrow or what they're gonna do next week or next month, but they never ever actually end up doing anything. And this is going to strangle you from ever becoming a millionaire or ever breaking out of your current cycle. And some of the main reasons why people do this is because they're afraid of failure, they're afraid of the judgment, or their ego is too big and blocking them from the fact of them actually having to do the groundwork to build something up over a period of time. I'm curious to know if you fit into any of those 3 categories. But one of the main things that separates the successful group from the non-successful group is this group over here will test, fail, pivot, test, fail, and pivot repeatedly for however long it takes until they get the results they want. And if they're not getting any results, they'll keep doing that cycle over and over again. And what I'm about to say is really important. You're never gonna end with the same blueprint that you started with, because things will never ever go the way that you want them to go, ever. The trait of taking action and adapting to results or lack of results is something that's flat out across the board with everyone I've known and everyone I've met. Now, number 4 is having a powerful network that runs deep. And hold on, I don't want you to skip this part because I know everyone talks about, oh, networking, all this stuff. But I guarantee I have something you never heard of before. It's called the 6 degrees of separation, and shout out to my friend George, who's on this list on my mind, who introduced me to this idea. And essentially, you can meet anyone in the world, yes, anyone in the world, with just 6 handshakes or less. So if you're a completely random person in China and you're trying to meet Donald Trump, it should really only take you 6 handshakes or less to make that happen. With that being said though, when you do have a diverse network of high performing people, you'll probably only really need to shake 1 or 2 hands to meet the highly performing people in any industry. Being surrounded by top level people in your circle ensures that you'll have access to the 0.001% of people in the world at what they do. Now real quick, think to yourself, how many handshakes would you need to meet your favorite content creator or favorite musician? If it's more than 4, then you have some work to do and you need to level up. You'll typically only be able to improve your network if you already are successful at something, or you work with someone who's a high performer in their industry and you're just naturally around other high performing people. But now moving on to number 5 is they all operate from a state of abundance. Essentially, scared money don't make money. And these people aren't afraid to bet on themselves or be in the hole for a period of time working on a new project. Anything and everything takes a bunch of energy in the beginning to get off the ground, and successful people are amongst the most common people to understand that this is a fact. Most people that are average and most people that are jumping into something think things are gonna be easy, but that's an incorrect mentality to jump into anything with. If you ever thought there were too many people doing drop shipping, then you're wrong. Same goes for SAAS, same goes for SMMA, same goes for Amazon FBA or anything. You're conflicting top level performers with just average performers. And this makes you believe it's too saturated because the markets are just being flooded by people that are average or even below average. I have a perfect example, and as you guys know, or maybe if you don't know, if you are new to the channel, I teach SaaS, which is software as a service, specifically no-code SaaS as a software agency. I teach that to new beginners and show them how to scale a new SaaS agency from the ground up. This is more of a new business model and quickly it's becoming saturated. On the opposite side of this, my neighbor, Sebastian Georgiou, is still doing drop shipping after all of these years and he's still crushing it. Him and Sebastian Esqueda, another high-level drop shipper, just recently launched their new store less than a week ago at the time of this recording, and they already passed the 5K per day mark. We were going back and forth on text a little bit, and when he shared that with me, I was like just shaking my head like, wow, like these guys are super high level guys at what they do. And if that's not pursuing an abundant mindset, then I don't know what else is, because everybody nowadays has an e-com store, but they're jumping in, they started a brand new store from scratch, and they are already more successful than 99% of other e-com dropshipping stores. And just because it doesn't work for you doesn't mean it's not gonna work for someone else in any markets when you go to call them saturated. And finally, number 6 is they understand the importance of having a team. Ever since we've been growing up and going through the entire educational system, we've been told that having a team or working together to solve a problem is inherently wrong, and that's just false in itself. Rarely will we ever be put in a group project, and it felt like every time that happened, we got one of the laziest kids in our groups. But it was subconsciously programmed that working together to solve a common problem is inherently wrong, and you should be able to figure it out all by yourself. And real quick, of course, if you are getting in certain careers like the law, or like a lawyer, doctor, any specialist like that, of course you need to know exactly what you're doing in all aspects. But if you are a business owner or trying to be an entrepreneur, you really don't need to know every little detail in depth. In the beginning, it's different. You need to be able to do everything in the beginning. But real quick, let's think of another example here. Take a look at Grant Cardone. He is the face of 10X. He has his own marketing team. He has his own sales team. He has all these different people working in certain different categories of his business that make the entire conglomerate of 10X itself. He went and hired the top talent in each individual position to make sure his brand grew at a faster rate than it would have been able to if it was just him doing everything. Like I mentioned in the beginning, you do need to be able to do everything because you're not gonna have the resources to be able to hire people and hire top tier talent, but later on, it's important to actually start bringing people on, hire top tier talent, and grow your team to be the most scalable and profitable. And fun fact, not one of these millionaires that I talk to or I'm friends with work on every aspect of their own business. They usually only work on about 50% or less of the actual business. This might be also skewed because a lot of the people I know are content creators, so they're more of the face of the brand, and then they have people in the background doing a lot of the hard work for them. But you guys, to get my case, if you're a content creator, you can probably relate to what I'm saying here. Now, after learning all these 6 tips here, I guarantee you learned something new here. Make sure to watch this video back a couple times if you need to and take some notes on each point, so then you can go ahead and start actually internalizing all this information, so you can go ahead and start moving differently in your life and start operating differently and start living and functioning like a multimillionaire. Nothing will change in your life unless you change your mindset. So make that your #1 priority right now, because otherwise everything is going to remain the same. And we don't want things to remain the same if you're not where you want to be right now. Make sure to check out my other video on screen right now, the 3 mindset hacks to making money online. And don't be motivated, be disciplined. I'll see you later.